Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time today, and we haven't just been live for a few seconds, whatever. Good morning, welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day, and this jolly giant gentleman next to me is my PUBG care package. But then next to the other side is Baby!
Good morning, everyone.
How the devil are you, sir?
I'm good, mate, I'm good.
For those of you that are listening to the audio podcasts, you won't be aware that we've just kind of gone live without a camera, and then we kind of fiddled and faffed and showed people a little bit of our set stuff. But anyway, the gist of it was, what? Do we just not have the camera turned on?
So, we about a month ago or two, we changed the studio. Like, we've rewired it, we've put everything everywhere, basically, so there's not wires being run across the floor anymore, they're all going through the roof. So when we have the camera like this for this show, we have that wire in the roof down there. When we're doing gameplay stuff and we have the three monitors here, we have a HDMI that runs through the back of this, so it doesn't trace across the floor. So when we plug that one in, we have to unplug this one from the PC and then plug the one that runs over the roof into the PC. So I changed the feed from there, but I didn't change the feed in the back of the PC, so it was just a case of unplugging it and plugging the new camera back in.
I thought he was going to say yes.
No. I'm giving you a technical rundown of how our studio is. Like, yeah, it's not just a few webcams and a TV. It's a lot more complex than that. We've got roof lights, we've got screens, 3 screens around us, and then we've got the 3 screens that are away from us. If you bring that camera on, you may be able to see one of them in the car. No. So you see these one here, there's one above Graham, there's one in the table, and then next to us here, and Graham's going to show you very quickly there. So we've got these 3 monitors, and then behind that is our production suite.
No!
Oh no, he's unplugged it! Oh, just when you thought
this is going well today.
Just when you thought today would be a technical disaster, it's just getting worse as it goes along. So yeah, it's a technical marvel, this studio. It's not a case of just a few HDMIs and a webcam plugged in somewhere. It's a lot more complex than that. Usually it's done way ahead of time, but today is Friday, so it's just a bit of a slowdown.
Yeah, and I'm assuming we will get that back to life eventually.
I can go and check for you now. Yeah, just press that one. If it's not, I just need to reload
look at the
it.
roof or something.
Yeah, I can reload it. It takes 2 secs.
So yeah, if you are in the chat, please feel free to say hello. My name is Graham Day, as you obviously know. That man dancing in front of the camera is Baby. And we bring you the daily dose of news from the games industry and beyond each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. UK time at twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. We then turn that video, that whole stream, should I say, into a video that you can digest on demand at youtube.com/Ice Cream Uploads. If you are in the chat, though, please feel free to get involved, because anyone that watches the on-demand stream, they don't have any way to get engage with the conversations. They can't give us their thoughts on our thoughts, so it's up to you guys that are live on twitch.tv right now to get involved in the chat. Obviously, we then turn that video podcast... Come on then, babe. Come in.
No, I need to check something.
Okay. We then turn that video podcast into an audio podcast that we upload to iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play, all 4 of our audio services later on in the day. If you want all the links to those, we'll post them on social media. In the meantime, I need to breathe, because yeah, I've not got my PUBG care package closed.
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we good?
Yeah, that camera's now not pointing at the ceiling.
Let me see. Yes.
See, when you work in a studio like this, you don't just become people in front of the camera. There's a lot of stuff that works behind it as well. So trying to keep your fingers in many different pies, shit goes wrong. It's not, because we do this all ourselves. We don't have a producer just sat in a booth or anything like that. We are literally just 2 guys behind a desk that sets all of this up before we come live for you guys.
It did kind of look like we had a producer when we flicked over there, because there was the silhouette of a bloke, but that is Naked Snake from Metal Gear Solid 3 just stood there with his gun in his hand. Mm-hmm. Not a euphemism, by the way.
Nope. His big dong is not on show.
But yeah, that's the key thing, is that actually having knowledge of how the studios and stuff works, not having your dong in your hand. I've seen that, yeah. Just ignored it. Yeah, that's the thing about knowing how the studio works means that you can do stuff on the fly. That's how I've got you sat on a shelf or whatever at home, and that's how we can do the stuff. It's because we know how this works. Not every individual bit each, but yeah, we know. Anyway, we have a bunch of stories for you today, including one that is pretty big for the games industry at large. So should we just jump straight in?
I think we should just jump straight into it, yeah.
Okay, here we go. First news story of the day, written by Matt Martin at VG247. This is about E3, funnily enough. E3 2020 wants ideas for the show, and here's one. Don't leak thousands of private contact details. So the organisers of E3 2020, and all E3s, the ESA, are asking for feedback for this year's show, and if it thinks your suggestion is good enough, it's going to make it happen. I've got a good idea. Don't leak 2,000 contact details for media and other assorted press, and then don't ignore the problem like you did last year, publicly and privately. When representatives for a media organisation get in touch with you to resolve the situation, or at the very least, seek assurances that it won't happen again, don't bury your head in the sand and refuse to acknowledge it. I refuse to acknowledge it in case it's deemed an admission of guilt. Don't do that. That would be terrible. And don't not concern yourself with the very real stress a leak like that causes for the individuals involved. The individual that has to go to the trouble of changing phone numbers, delisting contact details, and getting better security at their home, the home they live in with their partners and kids, the loved ones they have to reassure they won't get threatened on social media, swatted or stalked in real life. Don't ignore all of that. Don't not ignore all of that, even. So for those of you that don't know what that bit is, quick summary. E3 last year, all the press and media that signed up to attend E3 have to do through an online application form. That's kind of standard. However, what's not standard is the ESA left all of that information freely displayed on their website and easily accessible. So essentially, long story short, they leaked all of the contact details. And the ESA aren't light with that. They don't just go, can I get your name and your email address?
Yeah.
It's your name, telephone number, email address, shoe size, blood whatever. So much unnecessary information. I swear that's just purely for their database services. They took all that information anyway, then leaked it all. So the ESA says it has rebuilt its registration process with a third-party security firm, and that it will this year collect the minimum amount of data from journalists. Well, there you go, that follows on what I just said. And the press, and presumably everyone else registering to go to the Floundering Games event. Whoopah! Wow, VG247 going in today. But to use the cliche, that's closing the stable doors after the horse has bolted. It doesn't change anything. Last year's info will forever be out there. And once again, the ESA hasn't apologised, just half-heartedly acknowledged its media registration received a lot of attention this past summer. Yeah, because you fecking let everyone look at it. The absolute fucking cheekadids, it says in the article. Earning back your trust and support is our top priority, says the ESA today. No, it's not. A priority would have been dealing with this last August, not waiting 6 months in the hope things would calm down and you could just quietly make a few announcements to generate marginal excitement. E3 and the ESA doesn't have my trust at all. I realise I'm only one person and E3 won't miss me, but I am never going back to that bumbling, outdated and tired show ever again. Just say what you think, Matt. Do you know what? Don't hold back. Just go full on in. Why don't you? Yeah.
Interesting that they're asking people to give them ideas of how they think the shows should be run from now on. Their heads must be up their asses at this point with people not wanting to go to E3 this year. Sorry, that includes the likes of Sony, with Xbox being over the road as well and not even in the same place. And Nintendo going to be there? Probably not.
I mean, Nintendo usually have games on the show floor.
Nintendo space last year at E3 was massive. It was mega. It was amazing. I think I did actually post pictures onto my Twitter and Instagram as well of me being sat on the Nintendo couch next to a life-size Pikachu and what was the other one? I think it was a Mario. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Of course it was.
But yeah, it was special being there because it was my first Gamescom as well. But yeah,
just trying to find an article that kind of covers the E3 news, but without as much of the ESA leak. And okay, there we go. Push square. Let's see if that article.
Yeah, but your brothers just said there. I'm guessing that they were one of the ones that had been doxed. Then, well, our information would have been there as well because we weren't down as media. So our information would have been there in that as well.
I've never even looked, to be fair, just because, yeah, the more people that look, the more it is like looking at. Well, it's probably weak, to be fair. I didn't look because I don't know enough about SEO, but I just thought, like, if a lot of people are looking at landing on page, I know old school SEO used to be, if a page gets a lot of traffic, Google will favour it. So I just thought, I don't even want to look for information that's out there, but yeah, whatever. I've just sent you a link to a Push Square article, which will hopefully allow us to look at the news without the vitriol that VG247. Not that it wasn't actually warranted. I mean, by all means, it absolutely was. The angle that VG247 had in that article, I think it was Matt Martin. Obviously,
very personal.
He's pissed. Yeah, clearly, nothing wrong with that. But let's see if we can get the details of what E3 are announcing before we start to look at that, and then we can pull them both apart. E3 2020 will be a new and revitalised experience filled with celebrities and insiders. And then the tagline there says new security firm for sign-ups, which obviously we've just found out in very light words from Matt Martin. So this is written by Liam Croft for Push Square. Remember when it sounded like E3 2020 would be drastically changing its image following a rebrand to a fan, media and influencer festival? Well, it looks like that's exactly what's happening. The ESA, also known as Entertainment Software Association, has issued a statement detailing its plans for this year's Electronic Entertainment Expo. So that's E3. Wow.
Do you know what? That has literally just blown my mind.
Did you not know that?
I did not know that.
Oh, wow.
I literally did not know that.
Well, there you go,
I
learning.
just thought it was a cool name.
Learning. So the Electronic Entertainment Expo, or also E3, and it does not make for the best of readings. The company describes E3 2020 as a new and revitalised experience for everyone. The Los Angeles show floor is said to feature surprise guests, stage experiences, access to insiders, and experimental zones. Yeah, we're not entirely sure what the last two meant either. Nevertheless, this will be combined with new streaming and digital programming, which will we take as E3's own live stream show, unveiling new games and whatever else the firm can get its hands on. Elsewhere, the ESA has rebuilt its website following last year's data hack, which saw hundreds of journalists have their personal details leak across the internet, leading to harassment and unwanted advances. We might not have been on that. I think we might have been as industry, as opposed to press media.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It claims this includes updating our data management processes, including the handling of personal blah, 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 blah. So yeah, we don't really need to go through that bit. There's not much there to go on. The only bit that we've really got there is E3. The company describes E3 as a new and revitalised experience for everyone. The Los Angeles show floor is said to feature surprise guests, stage experiences, access to insiders, and experimental zones. What are you chuckling at?
Just fucking looking through the comments, man. Comment sections of any website always make me piss. How do you do, fellow kids? It's the top one. No wonder why Sony aren't bothering. People prepared for 5 hours of Ninja and Halo Infinite. I'll take the Halo Infinite. Unprecedented number of dab-related injuries at E3 2020. Yes, celebrities. We've been waiting years for these. Just what we need to revitalise E3. Hopefully they'll get James Corden.
I don't think he's being serious with his comment there.
Influencers, streamers obviously have their place. I see my son watching people stream games all the time. But this is not something I care for or enjoy, so I was subject to myself.
See, the thing with that comment from Laces there, it's perfectly rational comment. You're allowed your own opinion on that sort of stuff. But what they're trying to do is, okay, there's not really any reason for people to come. There are no PlayStation games. No first party sponsored PlayStation games anyway. There is no PlayStation. There are no Xbox games because Xbox are in LA Live doing their own setup, which basically, imagine you going to let's say the theatre. It's obviously it's a big, huge building, like a bowl shape, shitloads of seats, as if you're going to watch something at the MEN or any sort of event kind of thing like that. The Xbox bit is they kind of just built a flat platform stage, and then they have all of the pods and gaming experience and stuff. And the queue, you come down one of the aisles in any arena, and all of the seats that you usually sit in, that becomes the queue. So you essentially sit on one seat, and then the whole line is the queue. So when someone gets up and goes on it, the line moves over. Yeah. And then the next line in front, so you kind of snake your way down these steps, and that's the queue. And just like any other event, you've got like a 1 hour from here sign saying, so if you're sat in the seat, it's going to be an hour before you get on the stage, which is annoying as feck. Any queuing is annoying, but the fact that you've got seats while you're sat there is pretty cool. So your options are go to E3 and play a a Switch game that Switch haven't, that Nintendo haven't shown on any conference and stuff themselves. They've just shown some new stuff that won't be there on a Nintendo Direct, and you can play. What they had stuff that was already out and being Marvel
Alliance,
something like that, Ultimate Alliance or whatever. That was there, and other stuff was there. So there was like go there and jump straight on that, no queue because no one's bothered. It's already out, kind of thing. There was other stuff that you could queue for, like you could queue for hours to see the Cyberpunk experience, no playing, or you go to LA Live, free to get in, and you can queue for an hour there. But you get to sit in a nice comfy chair with arms and stuff like that, and then you get to play 5 or 6 different games, because once you're up there, you can play all the games and then get out, kind of thing. So even Xbox did E3 better than E3. It's just, it's so. Back to my point, Lisa's comment of like, I'm not bothered about these streamers and stuff like that. Having these people there in an accessible capacity, that's what Gamescom does quite well. Was it me and you that went to play PUBG?
Yes, that was at Gamescom, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
that was mint. That
it was good. And we got merch, that's why it was mint. Let's jump jump in Sidecam actually. The good thing about Gamescom is on the PUBG stand they had influencers. So obviously being in Germany, there's a German streamer called Pornihoff who does both German and English language streams, so he can engage with the audience in both German and English. He can engage within the live stream content, both German and English. Ticks the box, does really well, and it hit Pornihoff himself had things across. I saw him. He was on like some. I think it was some hardware stand stuff as well. So anyway, they do that really well. It does work really well. So it might not be what Laces wants, but that's good for giving. If your kid wants to go and see, it could be Pornihoff, it could be Ninja, it could be whoever, it could be the Ice Cream Uploads team.
Obviously.
So if your kid wants to see those, then having those there gives that. But it's just... What was the phrase they had in there? Shutting the barn door after the horses. But stop! He's already dead. So yeah, I agree.
Okay, Boomer.
It does feel a bit too much, too little, too late. If they want to fix it and if they want to get it back to be this massive thing that...
They need to start again.
Yeah, they need to get... And start again doesn't necessarily mean they need to get everyone else to start again. They need to make it... What is the reason for Sony to be there? What is the reason for Xbox to be there? And Xbox came out and said, we're proud to have been loyal to E3 or whatever last year when Sony said, yeah, we're not going. Phil Spencer came out and said something about, we are. Yeah. It's like, you're not, though, really. Your games aren't there. You're doing a show that you have put on for yourself in your branded, partnered event venue, and you're showing games to your community in your confined space. You're not doing E3, though.
That was just fan service, that, though, wasn't it? It's a fan service comment saying they're not doing it, but we are.
Yeah, one-upmanship.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I agree. If we do need to pretty much start again, find out. There was on top for so long that for me it seems like they've got a bit complacent with what the whole industry is about, and it's not just. Obviously, E3 is about the games, but it's also about everything else, like the publishers, the brands, the first parties going there and just giving their fan service in a respect. So this is what we've got to come in. We'll all have a laugh, kind of thing. I just read someone's comment saying that when E3 2016, Sony brought out an orchestra and was doing the video game soundtracks and stuff like that to try and keep their brand as a PlayStation at E3 relevant and fresh. They're doing something that wasn't being done anywhere else, but it's just the same monotonous 700 million people being crammed into a room to try and queue up for 6 hours to potentially play a game. Like you mentioned then about the Cyberpunk stuff at Gamescom, my head was blown the amount of waiting that people was doing to go in and capture 5-second trailer of it, or 5-minute trailer, whatever it was going to be. My head was falling off at that. But yeah, they really do need to rebuild it from the ground up, really. Find out what people actually want, and the step in the right direction is actually asking people, like, actually, what do you want to come for? Let's see if we could try and make that happen, rather than we're going to put this on for you and we hope that you turn up because it's E3. Chances are you probably are if you're an industry person.
Well, you look at Gamescom. I mean, how many people did you see in one day at Gamescom? It's bizarre. And then you go to E3 and it's not the same. It's a lot. I mean, it's busy, but it's not anywhere near as busy. And that's because Gamescom from the very beginning was a media / community, industry / layperson. Everyone can go to this event. And yes, they did have media specific days, which understandable. Everyone get your content, get out. So when all the public go, they can put the news out to the world at the same time. Logical, makes sense. But they let people in, and I think, was it last year, E3 was the first time they've done that, and it took them forever. No, this is for the industry. And even now, when we last spoke about E3, the partner brands or members in the ESA, some of them want it to be what PlayStation want, that community celebration. Others want it to be an outside look in at our celebration, which I do get that. I mean, I don't want that, but I do get that because that's what it was. And that's what Christmas in June, it was always like, yeah, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch all of the conferences over 2 days in June. And yeah, you'd have conversations with your mates that were interested or whatever, or you knew what games or consoles you were going to be buying in the next 6 months and things like that. It was really good, and that was always because it was outside looking in. However, you don't have to lose that by having the community element to it. Well,
I mean, obviously, we as a company have been to Gamescom the last 3 or 4 years.
Maybe. I think we've been to, well, more than that. We've definitely been to every single one that's been in Cologne, and then wherever it.
Well, the game. I know Gamescom's like the last 3 or 4 years, but actually E3. How many years have we been going to that one for?
On and off for probably about 15 years on and off, but back to back probably 3 or 4 years, missed a year or something.
But that's it. We've got an opinion formed in it because we've done it as a company. We have done it. We've been there. We've seen what it's like, and obviously from our standpoint, we go there as trade.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Sometimes exhibitors, sometimes trade, sometimes whatever. Usually it's not. Usually it's industry or exhibitors, depending on our role that's needed from us there. But yeah, we have experience. We've been through it all. We've kind of seen it all and done it all from different levels as well. Most people will go as. I mean, now you can obviously go as the public, but most people will go as press. We've done that. Obviously, doing ice cream upload stuff. We do press stuff as well. But obviously, we've done industry and exhibitors as well. So we've been there. We've done it all and we've seen it all. But even looking at it, like comparing the two side by side, because we've done Gamescom in the exact same sort of capacity, Gamescom just offers so much more, and you can see that in terms of Gamescom doesn't have as much punch as E3 in terms of international press. E3 is still the big one in the year. Gamescom is, and I think that's because it's in America.
Yeah.
If Gamescom was in America, and it was exactly the same thing, but in America, you just get picked up by all of the English-speaking press that are all there, kind of thing. They can all do that sort of stuff. Whereas Germany, it's just a bit further for American press, so it doesn't go as far. And so I think that is the only thing that stops it, but has stopped it up until like the last couple of years. Gamescom just keeps growing, keeps getting bigger, keeps getting massive. E3, everyone dropping out of it. The ESA isn't helping. One, by leaking everyone's details, but two, by charging an absolute fortune for an outdated and poor mechanic. Press only. Just us. And it's like, yeah, but what about the people? How about we?
It's very elitist.
Yeah, it's old school. I mean, back in the day, people would find out the news from reading a newspaper. Now people want to be there as you tell them the news face to face, touching your hand, be it through a stream, be it in an audience, be it on a show floor, whatever. That's how that should be working. And why is I'm not plugged in, that's why.
Well, like when we was at Gamescom this year, the amount of community managers that I was able to go and speak to about their games was unreal, and it was literally just the case of asking whoever's working at the booth, who's the community manager, and they go, oh, it's that person over there, so you go over and speak to that person. That was amazing. But the PlayStation did it really well again at Gamescom last year, because they had the big PlayStation stand. They had live shows from the minute it opened to pretty much the minute that it closed, and you had people like Rob Pearson, David Jackson, and Nathan, all just basically just chilling on the sofas at the event, just playing games with people, asking people to come up and smash them at Mario Kart, or showing Final Fantasy off and things like that. That, having the stage in front of the sitting on the stage and having all the chairs, the beanbags and everything that was around the place, literally just for people to come and sit there and just watch the shows all day, getting that consumer feel to it. So PlayStation obviously want to please the consumer. They want people to buy their games, and PlayStation were doing it so well last year when I was at Gamescom anyway, letting the casual fans or the hardcore fans come up and enjoy their time with PlayStation as a show. So if they can do more of that at more events around the world, then that's letting everybody wins. Then it's not just the press that are coming in that are writing the articles about it. Everyone feels involved from the bottom to the very, very top.
Yeah, that's the key thing as well. It's not just with PlayStation. The organisers of Gamescom have been pushing that. So like last year, Jeff Keighley, Gamescom opening night live. They have their own conference for Gamescom. Mm-hmm. They know that this is an event that should be shared with the world, so we will put our money into making a show that allows us to share it with the world. E3, the conference, when you think of E3, you think of Sony's conference, Microsoft conference and all the rest. That is nothing to do with it whatsoever. It's the show. And Sony they pay all of that money to do a conference around their presence and content at E3. Microsoft do the same thing. The ESA go, all right, nice one. You spread the word of our event, and we'll profit from all the door receipts and stuff like that. Yeah, job's a good one. Whereas Gamescom, okay, we will make opening night live this big thing where we can have essentially the Game Awards, but in summer without the awards bit. We'll do all the trailers and stuff that people actually turn in for. We'll do all that discussion, the developer bits and so on. We'll do that here and now. And I think finally the ESA have started to go, shit, we need to... I mean,
that looks sick.
What was their phrases? They said they had... I've killed the article actually, but it was something along the lines of they will use streaming technologies or things like that. Yeah. I think they've kind of gone, oh shit, we need to broadcast, we need to communicate. We can't just be snobs that just go, biggest show in the world, mate.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
what it feels like. That's exactly what it feels like. But there was cameras and feeds all over the place. So you had IGN that was in the corner. Again, I'm talking about Gamescom. You had a big IGN booth in the corner that was going through all the stuff that was being announced during the day. Then you had the PlayStation booths. Then you had GameSpot had their own as well.
YouTube had their own section kind of thing.
So it was obviously Twitch had their own as well. So having stuff like that where you have fans from different parts of the industry, like your PlayStation fanboys are going to watch PlayStation, if Xbox are going to watch Xbox. So having that many different feeds, so the people from that world can just watch it at their leisure with things that they actually enjoy, is absolutely perfect. I've just seen stuff going on in the chat there. See, Pirate, thank you very much for the host, mate. Very much appreciate that. And we was just talking about E3 apparently getting their shit together, but we'll wait and see because we're, 5-6 months away now?
June, so we're just in February, so March, April, May, June, 4 months.
4 months to get your shit together. That's no time. For an event like that, trying to organise it, mate, you're looking at next year now.
Yeah. What was it I was going to say? Our pirate did ask, what have I missed? But that was a while ago now. You may have missed a behind-the-scenes look where we gave you a tour, we turned the cameras round, and it was all because we wanted to bring you guys into the studio. And absolutely wasn't because we had one camera not working and then I picked one up to show the room off and unplugged it. That didn't happen.
That would have been hilarious if they both went off at the same time.
Just like...
We literally have a third camera there that isn't plugged in, so that would have been all 3 cameras that wasn't plugged in.
Welcome to the live video streamed version of the audio podcast. I mean, you can donate, you can see your notifications on screen, you just can't see our reactions to it. Anyway, E3 2020, as they said, want ideas for the show? You can submit ideas using the links through the ESA and the E3 2020 website. So you could say, I think it'd be really good to have ice cream uploads there, and there should be like headliners and stuff like that. I mean, it would be a good idea. I mean, we can do a lot of stuff, and we are miraculous people, but we're probably not enough to save that show.
No.
Just saying. I mean, miracle workers, yes, but that's beyond.
Not in 4 months. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Anyway, let's move forward, ladies and gentlemen, on to our next bit of news.
This is a juicy one.
This is juicy. Written by Matt Wales for Eurogamer. He says, Sega Europe introducing 100% recyclable packaging for all of its physical games, starting with the next Total War release. Badass. Good effort. Starting with the launch of Total War Rome 2 Enemy at the Gates edition on the 6th of February, all Sega Europe's future physical PC releases will feature fully recyclable packaging. It's the continuation of an initiative started in conjunction with Sports Interactive last year, which saw Football Manager 2020's physical edition switch from plastic to what the developer called the most environmentally friendly packaging we've been able to put together. The packaging featured reinforced 100% recycled gatefold cardboard sleeve made with 100% recycled fibres, a recycled paper manual, vegetable and water-based ink, and recyclable shrink wrap. The result was an entirely recyclable package that, as outlined in Sports Interactive's blog at the time, had the potential to make other environmental savings too. Sega's physical release of Total War Rome 2 Enemy at the Gates edition, longest name in the world, will make use of the same material, and the company says, our estimations with regards to Football Manager 2020 suggested we'd save up to 20 tonnes of plastic packaging for that title alone. So taking this step for the rest of our PC portfolio would see that saving rise exponentially. As part of today's announcement, Sega Europe wrote, we'd like to reiterate Miles' plea from September 2019 to the entertainment industries to investigate similar packaging solutions across movies, games and music so we can collectively observe a drastic reduction in the production of plastic packaging and its associated waste and pollution over the coming years. Those curious to know the complexities behind the recycling of a traditional plastic game box might consider watching People Make Games investigation into that very subject, presented by former Eurogamer video man Chris Bratt. And that's linked in the article there as he's holding a game with a face.
I'm very interested to see what this packaging feels like, because anybody that's seen my games room, I say games room, is the game's 3-foot circumference in the back corner of the bedroom, will know that I've got a ton of games all stacked up. I can't put this game in that stack because it will get crushed to shit.
Yeah, see, that's. I think that's the only barrier for me. Is I'm on board with ditching unnecessary packaging and waste and things like that. I am old school as well, so my angry old man inside likes the idea of ripping off the plastic seal. It doesn't have to be plastic, but I'll just go with the experience that I know. So ripping off the plastic seal, opening up the case, having the manual in my hand. I love all of that idea. I get that manual, if you need it, you can find it online. Or ideally, it would just be available in the game.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have a manual. Jobs are good. I get that. And I get getting rid of the thing. The only thing that I have to base this off is digital boxes for Xbox or even PC, whatever, where you get a thin sleeve. Probably, you're probably not going to be able to see it, but... see that coaster, the thickness of that coaster. I got PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds for Xbox, and it was digital only. Even though you bought it physically in a store, it was digital. You just got a code inside the box. What's the point?
Yeah.
But it comes in a sleeve like that, which that's fine, well and good. But if I've invested in a rack or one of the PlayStation designed stands that fits the cases in, it doesn't fit. So I'm on board with that. If the the reinforced sleeves, if they are reinforced enough.
Well, this not wilt. The cardboard is very easy if you leave it out. If you just knock it slightly, it can be very...
Yeah.
If you drop it, it's going to dent.
Yeah,
basically.
it'd be like
what I'm saying.
Vinyl sleeves kind of thing.
Yeah.
They can fade, they can... get a bit of water on them, a bit of moisture on them, just living in a humid environment.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd be screwed with this.
I was literally just thinking that before, because it's like falling onto your laptop. Is that a problem?
No, it's
more misty.
Yeah, it's pretty much gone. You can't even feel it on your hand, kind of thing, when it hits there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But this, like, I'm fully back the recyclable stuff.
I'm gonna move my laptop.
And I like that it says that they've reduced 20 tons of waste. That's cool. When that leaves their establishment though, when it comes to my house, I'm not recycling it because I'm keeping it. Is that from their side when they're putting them together that they're reducing by 20 tonnes?
I think so, yeah. In terms of the amount of waste, like be it coals or whatever, I don't actually know what they use as fuel, but to manufacture the plastic requires a lot more materials that they want.
The only time that I have ever been gaming cases is when I've had to replace it because it's been damaged, and that's like once every 6 years because I've dropped it or I've just caught it somewhere, I don't know, but...
No, well, you've just lost it. And that one game on Master...
just punches shit out of Football Manager cases. But yeah, it's... do you know what? Going forward, obviously we want everything to be able to be recycled, but I don't know. I think this is the wrong... Well, it's not, because any waste that you can avoid is absolutely amazing. However, I want to feel, before I get a fully fledged opinion, I want to feel this shit. Yeah. Because I can't put this in my... I would much rather now just buy the digital version, knowing full well that this is going to perish after a year in my games collection, because if it is just cardboard, I'm going to have to put it in a room on its own so that nothing goes near it, because if I drop it, it's going to get dented. If I put a game on top of it, it's going to crush it. I don't know.
No, I agree. I think that's the key thing, though, is I'm on board with it, as long as... Why do we have that there?
I don't know. It looks like someone subscribed, but it's not come through.
Oh, well, thank you for whoever subscribed a few hours ago.
Yeah, it's not filtered through, has it?
So, yeah... Like Fatman Dave says in the chat, it sounds like a cover disc or a freebie disc packaging to me. If it's like that, then I'm not on board with it. From the point of view of that still takes time and effort to produce something. That will still create waste. Yes, it will create less waste, but if we are creating some sort of waste anyway, do we even need the packaging if it's just going to be that crap thing?
That's it.
Don't bother doing it.
We might as well just go full digital.
Yeah, exactly. Go full digital, but then make good packaging. However, we can put a man on the moon. We can play PUBG Mobile on a train back from Resonate Glasgow. We can make a paper-based case that feels rigid enough.
Yeah. Well, there's recyclable plastics knocking about. Anything, you could make a plastic case out of the bottles that we recycle. So why are we having to use cardboard? Is that a cheaper option for them?
I think it's cheaper and easier to recycle, but also requires less fuel to recycle. So recycling it then uses less additional waste and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm on board with that.
Absolutely.
But just if I'm playing a video, it's like saying you don't need the case. You don't need it to be plastic. It's like, well, I don't need to play the game. That's not the point. I'm investing in an experience, and that starts at the case. If you can give me a good experience using paper-based cases, that's fine. If it's one of those crappy little sleevey things that you get, or the freebie discs that's literally just your PS1 demo disc kind of thing, nah, it's not for me, mate. But yeah, I'm all on board with saving the world as long as I don't have to stop enjoying the world just to save it, kind of thing.
Because again, I can't put that in my games collection. If it is as flimsy as a piece of cardboard, then I will have to literally just go. I'll just have to stop getting Football Manager games on disc. I'll just have to get codes instead.
Yeah, I mean that was the shittest. I'm all for saving the world as long as I don't have to stop enjoying it or something like that. No, I want to enjoy it and kill it. It's probably the world's most flawed thingy, but there is a point within there. Anyway. Jumping ahead onto our next bit of news. From one thing that comes in a paper case to another. Well, how's about that for a tedious link? This is... Google responds to Stadia complaints, says it's up to the publishers to announce games. This is written by PCGamer.com by Andy Chalk. A growing number of Stadia users are unhappy with the state of the system and lack of communication from Google. Earlier this week, Google announced that 2 new games would be added to Stadia Pro's free games lineup on February 1st, Guilt and Metro Exodus, and that 2 others, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year celebration and Samurai Showdown, will be removed on January 31st. So they're already getting rid of games. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, it was a fairly minor update as both Guild and Metro Exodus had been previously announced for the platform, although without a date, and it seemed like especially Thing grew in light of a very large thread on Reddit, which we covered earlier this week, complaining that it had been 40 days since the last new game announcement / release, feature update or real community update. It didn't seem like a big step forward for a platform struggling to find its footing, nor did the response on Reddit from community manager Grace from Google, who said they understand where your frustrations are coming from, but had no further information to share. Speaking to Games Industry, a Google rep disputed the Reddit complaint, saying that the Stadia team has been providing weekly updates on the Stadia community forum, but similar to Grace from Google's response, there was little else of substance in the statement. Just because you respond doesn't mean that you are replying. By going, yes, I see what you're saying, that is acknowledgement. That is not... Anyway.
It's saying something without saying anything.
Yeah, exactly. We understand the desire to hear more specifics on the games. After all, that is what it is about. The games, of course, not all 120 titles will be announced by the Stadia team, as we leave it up to the publishers to make the announcement about their IP/games and which platforms it will appear on, just as we will do with the exclusive content coming to Stadia, the rep said. There are a lot of reasons for the time of those game announcements, anything from planned promotions or events, title readiness, proximity to first playable demo, shareholder requirements, etc. We continue to work closely with our publishing and developing partners and are here to support them in all areas. We're excited to share more about some of the exclusive games coming to Stadia soon. Essentially what he said is all game announcements are tied to developers, and he basically has used a lot of different examples to say they can announce it based on stuff. We get that. They announce it because it's about to come out. They announce it because they've got a sale. They announce it... We get that.
Are developers and publishers allowed to say that a game's coming to a platform without the platform agreeing that they can say that at a certain time?
Yes, effectively. They will say, we want to make this game for your platform. This is probably not entirely right, but they will say, we're making a game. We've got the Stadia dev kit, which Stadia will have obviously know. They'll have a relationship anyway. We're making a game that will come out on Stadia. Usually there's all sorts of benefits for doing that, blah, 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 but they make the decision of making the game to come out. Stadia then either got, nice, you need to do A, B, and C, and it's fine. And that's usually like make a build that's compatible. So when a game comes out on a console, you have to like pass it to Sony, give them a build to make sure it's all working, not buggy, and not going to endanger their systems, things like that. So the same thing with Stadia. They could then go, actually, do you know what? We'll help fund this. We'll get involved in this. We're prepared to help with the marketing. We'll give you store place because we think it's a big game that'll carry our title, things like that. But they can go, no, it's fine. We're just going to do all our own marketing and stuff, and we are going to announce it here, and we're going to put it there. As long as they've got all of their ducks in a row in terms of a development thing, they aren't tied to what Stadia say or do. Then they can do what they want, where they want. They're the ones that make the games and release it.
Yeah, I was just thinking then if they're saying that the publishers can come out and say that they're bringing out games for the console whenever they like. If they was to do that, will say Google not say you didn't give us a heads up kind of thing?
No, I mean technically that's kind of it's the same sort of way as we put this podcast out on Spotify without getting Spotify say so. It's probably a bit more complex than that, but they're using Stadia to deliver their games. They're making their games like we're making our podcasts. They deliver
right. Okay, makes sense.
So the 120 new games the Google rep referred to were announced earlier this month, but no titles or release targets were set. Google said only that we are tracking more than 120 games coming to Stadia in 2020 and are targeting more than 10 games in the first half of this year alone that will only be available on Stadia when they launch. We said when Stadia launched that it wasn't ready for prime time, and it's fair to say that remains the case. Stadia added achievements in late December, but more essential features like 4K streaming on PC are still unsupported and currently do not have a solid launch date. Some Stadia owners are now calling for the 3-month Pro subscription included with purchase of Stadia Premier to be extended to 6 months to compensate for the lack of features and communication so far. Update. The post originally quoted Grace from Google as saying that Stadia is targeting more than 10 games in the first half of the year alone. It has been edited to reflect the full quote. Okay, there we go. So yes, in short, Google responds to claims that it isn't responding by not really responding. They're nailing this PR and communication stuff.
I mean, if they want anyone to give them PR stuff, then we're available.
Yeah, if you want people that will help you engage and interact with communities, then we know lots of people that could do that for you. You thought I was going to say me, but I didn't. Anyway, it's shit. It's shit. It's shit. How can Google continue? I mean, say nothing. Shit. But don't stop saying nothing. Don't go, okay, oh, fuck, like, rather than doubling down and saying nothing and then coming out with a big thing, don't go back on your plan to not say anything. Yeah, so to verbally not say anything.
The problem is that it always seems to be that people like community managers that get it in the neck for this stuff, because unfortunately they're the people that are on the front line with this. So Grace from Grace from Google is probably the only person there that is available to be able to get in front of this and give. She's saying a lot of things without saying anything, but that will not be her.
Yeah, she's saying as much as she can. You absolutely 100% know that she's sat there going, can we not just say something?
Here's a result from search.
Oh, thanks, Grace.
You say Google once and then that's it. Your phone just goes into a bit of a time. But
okay, Google, release Stadia games.
If that's that. Okay, yeah, that's not working.
Yes.
But people obviously who are making the decisions aren't making the decisions fast enough, or they're not letting enough information slip through the cracks for community managers to be able to go back and manage their community. So it's unfortunate for Grace that she's getting this in the neck.
There is nothing that Grace can do. Comment in the chat says, I don't think developers would announce games for a platform that seems to be on live support.
It wouldn't surprise me if they've got a backlog of games ready for Google compatibility, but at the moment they're not going to get anything for it.
The thing is, though, with that comment of live support, it's easy to break. It's not easy. It can be easily changed, and things could change rapidly, but it's not easy to actually reverse that. Let's use some examples. The PSP sold shitloads, but never really made it. So that wasn't ever on live support, but just didn't really go anywhere. Flip side, there was all this big shout about the Wii U, which didn't really do anything. And then then you fast forward to something that's a bit more relevant and recent, and what my point was kind of based on. The Nintendo Switch launched, and yes, there was excitement for it. Yes, people like the idea of being able to play games and take them with them and stuff. But the first trailers with people in a garden having a barbecue and 1-2 switch and shit like that fucking stuff. The Switch was going nowhere. Mm-hmm. However, they managed to keep plugging at that. But the thing there, like using it's a vicious circle. Developers won't make games for a platform that's on live support, but you get games for that platform, then suddenly the platform's off live support. Mm-hmm. It's kind of. But they managed to break that by plugging at it with their own first-party titles, and that's eventually brought everything through. Even if it's just ports, getting The Witcher ported, getting whatever ported, they at that point now where they're breaking through that, the point where it's sold more than the Xbox Xbox One. They've sold more Switch consoles than the Xbox One consoles.
Well, the Switch is, again, I've said it 1,000,001 times, but the Switch is my favourite console. Barring my PC, obviously, because that's not a console, but I play on my Switch way more than I play on my PlayStation because I can play it anywhere. The games that are coming over to it, I mean, I can play Skyrim wherever I want now, and that's obviously goals. But yeah, there is some games I'd wish to bring a Pro Evo out for it. I wish they'd bring out a couple more games that I'm interested in playing on there, the likes of maybe Destiny, if we can bring that over on there as well. But
PUBG,
yeah, because that's another. They've got Fortnite on there, they've got Realm Royale on there. They haven't got things like Cuisine Royale, but PUBG could easily. They've got Call of Duty isn't on there either, but they've got a mobile game. PUBG isn't on there, but they've got a mobile game.
The mobile game is huge as well. It's bizarre to think it's not there. Anyway, using that for Stadia. The issue that Stadia has, though, in terms of breaking that, so the way you jump back to David's comment of why would a developer announce games for a platform that's on live support, Nintendo always had it had Breath of the Wild that they could bring over. It has Mario Kart, it has Super Mario Odyssey, it has all of the other Mario brands. It has Pokemon, it has Smash Brothers, and it can release those games that will sell consoles.
That's why Nintendo always does well, because they've got the IPs that people reference to Nintendo. Like when you're buying a Nintendo console, you know exactly what you're going to be getting down the line at some point.
That's the thing. You think of a Nintendo console, you think of a Nintendo first-party brand. You can list all of those. You go to Sony, you can start do the same sort of things again. Obviously, the ones I always throw out are the more recent ones, like the Horizons, the Spider-Mans, the God of Wars, and things like that. You go to Xbox, there, for me, are fewer that are impactful, but you've got the likes of Gears, Halo, Forza. I then start to go, I need to think about it a little bit more. But they are console sellers. You then jump to Google, though, who need their console sellers. They have no brands.
Sorry, mate. They got guilt.
Oh, so they should have. They should feel all the fucking guilt after all the promises they made and then delivered nothing. It's
so easy for us to be able to beat down on Stadia, and there's been one positive article that we've seen, and that was the one that now seems a bit redundant, to say that they're going to be bringing out over 100 games this year for the new console.
Is it 120?
Yeah, so it's now 120, but I don't know how many of those are going to be first party. That's going to be system sellers. I don't know how many of them are going to be exclusive. There was a rumour to say that there was going to be Google are paying developers to have them as console exclusives and timing the likes of PlayStation and Xbox out for obviously a period of time. Whether or not that's true and whether or not that's going to be for big enough games that people are going to care about, I don't know.
You need to do, I mean, and this is where it's bad for Google in terms of, you look at the first party exclusives that Sony has on the horizon, not Horizon, but on the horizon they have The Last of Us 2. That started way back when, I mean, obviously, I believe they made like lesser games. I say lesser, just allow it. They made lesser games than allow it. Yeah, fuck it. It's Friday. They made lesser games than the Uncharted series. When I say that, I know they did make like. Were they the ones that originally made like the Crash games and things like that?
Naughty Dog.
Yeah. So when I say lesser games, I mean more like less demanding games in terms of the visuals and times and spent creating that versus the first Uncharted game would be different. Uncharted, obviously, is a series that's grown and they've scaled up and they've learned development stuff and they've built themselves into this massive studio over generations of gameplay. Google Stadia, if they start that now, then by the time we get to Google Stadia 4, they might have a studio that's massive. Obviously, that's. But
the quick way is to actually buy a studio that can produce really good games extremely fast, but then make them exclusive. But that's easier said than done. How many IPs have been started over the last 15 years?
How many studios are that reliable though? As well, I mean, it's. Let's use a football analogy. Man United have just bought Bruno Fernandes. He is quite expensive. Probably is
in this market. I don't think he is.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. He has cost a lot of money, but that's because it's the cost that is required. There isn't that much going around, so that is his cost. And it's the same sort of thing in the video games world. All of the big studios, not all of them, but a lot of them, they've been bought, or they are. Or developers just make their own games and stuff now. So you have to go to indie studios and then push them up. But indie studios, that's hoping that they can make a perfect product. But is the processes that they made on that scalable? Can you instantly go, okay, times that by 2 and do twice as much? Not necessarily, because sometimes things start falling over. And so, if Google want to buy studios, just because you want to, doesn't mean that there's developers out there. Doesn't mean that you've got project managers and brand directors and all of these people that can lead your wonderful titles. Just because they made a good mobile game doesn't necessarily mean that they can build into a fully fledged platform game. So, I mean,
they've got a long road in front of them. Again, we've said it a million times. It is the future of video games, being able to do all this stuff wherever you want to play it. It's just unfortunate that they have not seem to have thought this through properly. So we have got a massive teething period with this, and people are well within the right to say, do you know what, for the first 3 months that we've bought this, we've backed you, you've not backed us, you've not given us our promises, can we have another 3 months or extend it by 6 months, just give us a bit more back.
What they need to do there is get ahead of that narrative. If you paid for, was it Stadia Pro, is that what they call it? If you paid for Stadia, no, you paid for the Stadia system, and you've got Stadia Pro within that, and it's just crap, it's just not good, and you've said no, it should be, rather than 3 months, it should be 6 months. Stadia should be going, okay, well, we're not going to respond to that just yet, but it should be 9 months, mate. We should go, look, we hear that people want 6 months, and we recognise that we've not achieved, because those things, what they're saying there, they're going, actually, we are responding, actually, Grace from Google is responding, and she's not saying anything, but she's responding. It's almost like, no, I'm doing it, whatever, mate. You don't even want to speak to my manager because I'm doing anything anyway, and it's like, stop being aggressive and fighting back. Just go, yeah, okay, fine, we get it, but do it in a way that we understand that people are upset, disappointed that they've paid for Stadia to get Stadia Pro. They've not had all of the facilities. They've only just got achievements in it, and we understand that people want them to extend to 6 months. We're not going to do that. We don't feel that's right. However, what we're going to do is give you a full year. All of you founders are going to get a full year access to Stadia Pro as a show of our commitment to you, and that smashes it out of the park.
It gives you something to cheer about then.
Yeah,
but I will never be on the fanboy side of anything. I don't care if it's consoles. I don't, because they're not the people I want to talk to.
Yeah, me neither.
Because you can never find common ground with most people who are fanboys or something. Because it's just blinkers on. They're not asked about what it is. They're just. But for the people who are invested in this, who potentially, maybe even the casual gamers that think, do you know what, like my cousin isn't a massive gamer, but he bought Stadia Pro because he works away a lot, so he can take it with him, blah blah blah, and he's finding it problematic. So I would be on his side in regards to this, saying, do you know what, as a consumer you've backed it, but you've not got what you wanted to. When it comes down to the fanboy isms, like, it doesn't matter, they will still ride and say that this one is the best thing that they have ever seen. You can tell any title that we've included Google Stadia on YouTube has been the most down-thumbed things we've got, because we've got nothing nice to say about it, but that's because there's nothing nice to say about it.
We need to have our Stadia here every time we say it and go, look, we've bought this.
Absolutely.
We've bought this. We have a right to these opinions.
Yeah, we are consumers. We've backed this at its very core to say, we think this is the future, and we've said it 1,000,001 times, but that's not good enough for people unless you've got always nice things to say about something. Unfortunately, you're going to get put into a certain bracket, and that is the people who I tend not to speak to when it comes to fanboys, because you can never find common ground. I'll always have a debate with someone, and I will share opinions, but when you can't find the common ground in the middle, then there's no point, because neither of you are going to change your mind, and you're both going to be as stubborn as each other. So ultimately, Google have got a good product. It's not being utilised well. They're saying a lot of things without saying anything. It's been far too long for them to be able to get the shit together. You need to look after your customers first and foremost, because eventually you're going to have none left.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. The product, the concept, and the dream they sold is wonderful. And yes, they can probably achieve it. However, they're in a beta/early access phase, but paying alpha/full release costs, and that's the offset. Once they get to the point where they start hitting what, like, they're practicing what they're preaching, then fine. We'll happily go, okay, this Founders Edition that we invested in, proud to show this now. Whereas at this point we're not there. So
you know the funny thing about it though, this is going the exact same way as Ouya and the OnLive stuff, which, funnily enough, we've got both of those consoles in there, which we can bring out and show you, because we backed those at the time. But Google have got the money to be able to piss away and keep this alive longer than they did. So we'll see how long OnLive support that this can manage.
Although OnLive did, I mean, it died pretty much straight away, but it stayed alive, just whimpering in the back for forever. It was like, OnLive has ceased today. Today? Yeah. Did it not cease? Like, what?
Well, that's the thing. People who are backing this now that maybe want to see it changing as fast as possible, you clearly haven't been around long enough to even know what those two consoles are. If you've backed them, you'll understand the struggles that Google Stadia is currently going through. I mean, and believe me, the way that it's going now is just going to end up exactly the same as those two, unless shit gets going.
A company with the funds and size and experiences of Google, you'd expect if anyone's going to turn it around, it's going to be them. However, just on closing that, you wouldn't have expected a company with the experience, size, and funds of Google to be in the situation it is now.
Yeah, so, that's a very good shout.
Anyway, moving on with the news, our last news item of the day. We mentioned them then, but Nintendo has no intention of releasing new hardware in 2020. I've just been talking about a number of sales of Switches. So it sounds like there are no plans for a Switch Pro in 2020 as Bibby cries into his conflict.
Absolutely.
By James O'Connor, written for GameSpot. He says, for over a year, rumours have swirled that Nintendo is planning to release an upgraded Pro model of the Nintendo Switch. But in a presentation live tweeted by Tokyo-based David Gibson, Nintendo Japan president Shuntaro Furukawa shot down reports suggesting that Nintendo will release a new hardware revision in 2020. According to Gibson, Furukawa said clearly that the company has no intention of releasing new hardware in 2020, meaning that a Pro model of Switch is not being planned for release this year. I'm going to read this embedded tweet. It might kind of confuse the article, so if it does, bear with us, but this is an embedded tweet by David Gibson. 1. I have 2 types of hardware for different lifestyles, Switch and Lite. New customers from Lite, existing buying Lite? Okay, what?
New customers from Lite, existing buying Lite. That doesn't make much sense, I don't think.
Okay, let's jump past the tweet. The Switch Lite released in 2019, and Furukawa suggested that the benefits of the system were not communicated as clearly as they could be. For now, it sounds like Nintendo is planning on sticking with the 2 available models. Furukawa also suggested that the system is entering the middle of its life cycle, and while the impending launch of new consoles will change the landscape somewhat, Nintendo has different lifestyle and customer targets. They will be looking to extend the Switch's life cycle beyond what they have previously achieved. Nintendo previously indicated it intends the Switch's life cycle to extend beyond the traditional 5 to 6 year window.
Basically, I think overall what he's trying to say is that currently there is 2 in the market. There is 2 Switches in the market for 2 different types of people. So you're going to get the Switch. You're going to get the Switch Lite, which is basically a scaled down version of the main Switch, which you can't plug into a TV and play games on there. It's a lot more for the casuals or kids, shall we say, that may want to take this out. It's not as big, it's not as bulky, and then you've got the normal Switch, which is exactly the same power resource. I don't think there's any power difference between them, but you can dock it, you can play games at 1080p on your TV rather than it being just 720 in your hand on the Switch Lite. If there was to make a Switch Pro, that would be for, like, I wouldn't have my normal Switch now. I would go and trade that in to get the best version of the Switch that I could possibly get, basically because I play my Switch quite a lot. So is saying, is it worth it for Nintendo to potentially have 3 different SKUs in the market to cater for 3 different types of people, rather than what they've got now, which is, I hate using this word, but casual, which is for the Switch Lite, for the everyday people that want to be able to play this game in the dock and everywhere else, which is could potentially be the middle, and then you have the top end, which could be for the hardcore people who want to get the best out of their system.
Xbox One S,
exactly.
Xbox One X.
So you'll have more than one SKU out there, and he's just trying to relate to what the PS5, xCloud, and 5G devices are going to be doing. Is that going to be for everyone? Is this going to be worth it for Nintendo to be able to go and make a Pro console, put another SKU out there, and potentially not get the sales that are required for the Switch Pro to continue manufacturing that at a top end scale? Because I don't know what the PS4 Pro obviously did really well, and so did the Xbox One Series X. They did really well, or whatever. What was the main Xbox called? The one that we've got over there. The top spec one.
What, One X?
One X.
One X.
Yeah, so that was the top spec one. So obviously them 2 have sold really well. Will that translate to a Nintendo console?
I'm not sure, you know. Purely because you invest in a PS4, you play that PS4 on your TV, in your home setup, and that quite often you upgrade your setup as you go. So quite a lot of people have 4K TVs now, maybe 4K sound systems as well. So if you're playing a PS4 on this TV, yeah, it's upscaled, it looks all nice and everything. But if someone's saying, okay, that TV that you've got, how about your game loads faster, your game looks better, all these other benefits that come with it, you're like, oh, I can see these as tangible benefits now. Whereas if someone says to you, okay, this game that you're playing on the go on a screen that's that big, at 720, if it goes to 1080 when it's at that size, you're not going to notice the difference that much. So it's not the same way as jumping like from 720 to 1080 is obviously a jump, but going from 1080 to 4K, that's 4 times the difference. So you will see 4 times the visual fidelity. So I think, and that's a difference in gamers as well. You, as a console gamer, and I'm not counting the Switch as a console for you, but for this part of it, as a console gamer, you're probably more away from the core, the casual gamer kind of thing. You're more hardcore kind of thing than a Switch player, I'd assume, because you think, oh, do you know, I want the benefits that comes to having a Switch. I want to be able to play on the go. I want to play against other people. I want to do all the cool stuff with it. And you are hardcore, but around the functions and everything around it, not necessarily that HD textures and resolutions and things like that. So, yeah, I think there's definitely potential for Switch, especially if it's sold, was it 55 million units or something?
I can see a Switch Pro coming out very much like what the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One Series X, or what the fuck it's called.
Xbox One X.
Yeah, so when you put the disc in,
X1.
it asks you if you want to enable HDR and all that shit, doesn't it? Do you want to go for performance, optimization, blah, 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 blah. I don't have either of them consoles, so I don't know what it says. But I imagine when you put the disc in, it asks you which one you want to go for. Do you want it to look beautiful, or do you want it to be performance? I imagine that if you was to port over something like Doom Eternal to the Nintendo Switch, which obviously they are going to be doing, that if you had a Switch Pro and you put the cartridge in, it would say, do you want to play it at its most beautiful, or do you want to play it at its best, which will be 60 frames, 1080, I imagine, on that console. The fact that on a Switch Pro you could potentially play the game at 1080 in your hand rather than it only being 1080 on your dock, that will be amazing, but it will also drain a lot more of your battery as well. So how they're able to come over those circumstances, I don't know. Do I want to see a Switch Pro? Absolutely. I would love to be able to play these gorgeous games on a portable device, very much like my PS4. If I wanted to play that on my laptop now, I can do that. It's obviously not going to be as pretty because it's going to be playing over remote play, but having the option of being able to play these third-party or first-party games, most importantly, with the best spec that I possibly can without having to play it 720 in my hand, that's fine. We've said it I keep saying it a million one times, but we said it on here.
I think you've said that a million one times.
Yeah, I play a lot of shit. There is games that look absolutely horrendous.
Can confirm he does.
I mean, for fuck's sake, I was playing Pen 6 last night. Do you know what I mean? That game's 14 years old. But I do play a lot of shit games. So
Did it play better than when we played it on the Xbox 360?
Miles better, because obviously it's on PC. It's already got the data packs and everything installed in it, so it's glorious. Anyway, being able to play any kind of games as long as I play well, and not really asked about what they look like, as long as I'm playing it at the best it could possibly be. Like, I don't want to be playing. I will play a PS1 game because at the time that was the best that it was. That best that it was at the time. I know I'm not going to be able to play a PS1 game with PS4 graphics unless they remake it again. But at the time, I know that I'm getting myself into. If I can play a Switch Pro game, Doom Eternal, and it's exactly the same as what it is on the PS4 compared to what it is on the Switch, then for me, anybody that's a Switch owner, everybody wins, because you're getting the same experience, apart from I can take my console wherever I want to go.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that, I mean, this article written for GameSpot says it sounds like there are no plans for a Switch Pro in 2020. It doesn't surprise me, because do I think people are going to jump on the need for a Pro right now? No. They've jumped on the Lite because of the functions and the portability and stuff that gives you. But this article, the final paragraph, it says, with the Switch aiming for a long life cycle, it's possible that we will see further revisions down the track. There is a precedent for this, as Nintendo DSi iterated on the success of the Nintendo DS and made the system slightly more powerful back in 2009. Mm-hmm. So
I've got a DSi.
Did you buy it for the power at the time?
No, I bought it because there was a lot of games that I never got the DS at the time. And it was only because the price was right that I got a DSi, because I wanted to go back and play the games that I didn't play on the DS. I mean, the Nintendo Switch now isn't even at the PS4 or Xbox caliber of games.
Yeah, and I think that's where my thinking is. I think at the moment they're not bothered about putting the Pro out, because that focuses on a gap that isn't an issue. Mm-hmm. The fact that it's not the same as a PS4, not the same as an Xbox, not the same as PC, it's only an issue if you start trying to compare yourself to them.
Absolutely.
And so I think at the moment they're going, okay, we've got the Lite, which is even more portable, it's functional, it's whatever. I think with the new generation of stuff jumping ahead, they might go, do you know what? We're not trying to be new generation consoles. Yeah, everyone's just got it's holiday 2020. Everyone's just got the Xbox One X Series X, and the PS5. But yeah, that's fine. Okay, next year. Okay, do you know what? We're going to do some upgrades to our system. I really thought you were talking about your Citroen DSi. He is.
No, my little baby's outside. It's fine.
So yeah, I think next year after the upgrades, they might see that as look, we're upgraded now. The thing, and they'll do some. I'd do some song and dance about. Okay, we're still we're the best-selling console on the market right now because everyone else from the last gen have stopped now. These were the so we're the only current console, the best-selling one at the moment. We sold more than Xbox's last one anyway. So and we're giving you a better way of playing it on the go.
Well, using Skyrim as an example, then on my Nintendo Switch, currently, I think it's more along the lines of the PS3, Xbox 360 version of the game. The way that it looks, obviously the field of view, the way that the textures are and things like that. If they was to bring a Switch Pro out, I would expect that to be more along the PS4 lines. So you can see a bit more, it's a bit more beautiful, the cell shading and all that jazzy shit that goes along with it. So I think the only way for Nintendo to go is up if they wanted to. They don't have to because we know what we're expecting from a Nintendo console. We're not getting a Nintendo console for the best graphics available. They'll never compete with the PC. They'll never compete with the PS4 or Xbox. And they're not asked about that. And neither are people who tend to buy these Nintendo consoles. They're buying them for the first party games and potentially some third party support. I don't think for a long time Nintendo has got this kind of support from third-party games. So the fact that we are getting things like Skyrim, Doom, The Witcher, and things like that are being brought over, that just suits everybody wins in this case.
I also think the fact that we're at the end of a life cycle as well has helped the Switch. I mean, that could mean there's more of a necessity, got the word out, next year for a Switch Pro, because we're at this point of the life cycle. It's got to come to Christmas, and what do you get I'm talking last year, what do you get the gamer that you love for Christmas when he's got or she's got an Xbox or a PlayStation already?
An RG350 so I can play PS1 games on the go.
If they've not, say if they've got an RG350, so but they've not they've got PC, whatever. What do you get them? I'll get them Switch. It's some good games out for it now. Witcher's out on it, and it's on Netflix as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch this over Christmas, so we can get the game and stuff. So it just it was really well timed for them as well in terms of that sense. So next year, when it'll be harder for them because they've not got as much of a free pass as an install base, because there is the new Gen 5 consoles. They're going to be taking up a lot of people's time, column inches, free money.
Yeah.
So next year, they're probably just go, we'll sit on that. We expect a downturn in sales, not downturn, but the growth will slow. And then after that, after they've had their pop, now we'll bring our pro games out. I think that's probably the best way for them.
Absolutely, I fully agree.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is that. Thank you very much for being with us today. Let's jump to the front cam. Obviously, there are a lot of links in the channel. ! Merch, if you want to type it. Whenever you're in the chat, we'll bring you a link to our Gamers Apparel store where you can buy our hoodies, our esports jerseys, t-shirts, hats, whatever you want, all decorated in the ICU spectacular branding designed by Mr. Next Gen Renegade in the chat. Thank you very much. Also, ! Socials brings up the links there, which will take you to all of our social media channels. Feel free to check those out. Hit them now. Hit follow. And if you're watching on Twitch right now and you haven't done already, hit follow here. You will be notified when we go live again. That's it for the week, though. We are done. We are live Monday to Friday, 10 a.m, bringing you your daily dose of games news. But we finished the week this week. We're not back till Monday. If you hit the notification button, though, you will get notified when we go live next week. Also, if you are watching this on YouTube, have you subscribed, mate? I mean, seriously. Go on, press it. Go on. Yes.
Oh, what a guy.
Yeah, love it. Also, same thing, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, all the buttons. Do it now. But we... what?
Pirate said that he's wearing his ICU hoodie in the office. That's exactly what you want to wear.
I'm not sure he is.
Pictures it didn't happen.
Yep, pictures at Ice Cream Uploads on Twitter.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then if do you not, because we're nice people, you send us that picture, we will share that picture for everyone else to see as well. Just because we We do that. Anyway, that is it from us. Like I say, we will be back on Monday, 10 a.m. But before we disappear, is there anything you want to add, Bibberino?
Yes, if it's anything like any other weekday or weekend, shall I say, you're probably not going to see any news. But if you do see anything that you want to hear us talk about, or you've got your own opinions yourselves, do feel free to send over the article to We've Got Fabinho, @Graham_Day, and Ice Cream Uploads. We'll be able to pick that up over the weekend and force it, cram it, shove it into our show on Monday for you with your opinions too.
Ooh, matron. Anything up to this weekend, babe?
Yes, chances are I will most likely be streaming tomorrow. What that game is, I don't know, but there's only one way to find out how they're going to find out.
And how is that?
By obviously following this channel, so you're notified when I go live, or following the Ice Cream Uploads Twitter channel.
Pow, 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 pow. Once again, ! socials in the channel will give you the links. They are already there if you want to scroll up a little bit. But have yourselves a very lovely weekend. And until Bibby's back, potentially tomorrow, with a game TBC, have yourselves a fantastic weekend. And remember to
stay frosty.